Man, it is just so good to finally be home, back in my bedroom, and not have to go anywhere or worry about any little Lego convention. Oh.
Hey guys, it's Holly and welcome back to the Upside Down, where to my knowledge at least the first ever in-person LegoCon is occurring. Yes, that's right, everyone's favorite Lego convention is back and in reality. So firstly, I have many questions. Firstly, what is it? Secondly, why is it happening? And thirdly, why Sydney? Now, currently it's the winter school holidays, which I think for the most part answers why it is happening, because, you know, just kids have got to have something to do. But I'm still confused to why Sydney, of all places. Maybe Lego Australia is just really trying to branch out their market, which I mean is a great thing for me. But also I'm really confused to why this didn't happen somewhere else first. I'm grateful, but confused. As for what it is, I thought I would consult the website to try and find out. LegoCon is coming to Australia July 9th and 10th live at Sydney Showgrounds. There will be plenty of family fun for kids of all ages. Do they mean kids of all ages or like people of all ages? So come and join in the action across your favorite themes: Lego City, Lego Friends, Lego Dots, Lego Technic, and more. But how many more? So as to be expected, LegoCon is really trying to cater for like the family-friendly, like children aspect of things, which I completely understand. I mean, LegoCon in general was created to try and stop people from going into their dark ages and was made for like 8 to 12-year-olds. So it does make sense that this is going to be for kids, and me and A4 really am the outlier here. I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't like specifically say anything for A4s though, given that Lego as a company really want to, you know, just tap into that A4 market as much as they can, as you can see with the brand new Lego Bowser that was released and is more than Nintendo's actual console. So there's that. We need your help building something big, and there are only so many opportunities to immerse yourself in the world of Lego play. Ooh, that sounds fun. But in all seriousness, this next part is actually incredibly exciting. It says that the Formula One Lego Technic McLaren life-size build will be available to check out for the first time in Sydney. That I'm incredibly excited for. That thing looks amazing. I really hope they let people, I guess, like near it, and more importantly, inside it, because I mean, if Daniel Ricciardo can sit in it, why can't I? We also want to hear from kids on their hopes and dreams for the future, with Build the Change sessions running throughout. Well, that takes me off the register, so. Now, as for the tickets and as for the prices, I mean, Lego, to be expected, is going to charge you probably more than you should actually pay for a lot of your stuff, and maybe, you know, you might get some value, but oftentimes it will feel a tiny little bit overpriced. But in a shock twist of events, this event is actually free. And good thing too that it was free, because I was able to reserve 2 tickets for myself and to drag my mum along to LegoCon in real life.
What better to do on a sunny Saturday than go to LegoCon and stand indoors? But before that, we had to stop and get some fine Australian cuisine in order to avoid paying the inflated event prices at the door, which somewhat paid off as we actually got to experience a rare sighting of Lego Masters in the wild. But besides this electronic sign, LegoCon did seem to have some very cool banners, which I honestly wish I could have taken home with me. In fact, I just wanted some cool merch in general from the event. First impressions though weren't going too strong, as after standing in a mosh pit type of line for just about 2 minutes, I noticed a giant sign that said VIP staff and media. This raised many questions. Did I miss the chance to buy a VIP pass? Was there even an option? And on top of that, my ever-growing ego was wondering why I didn't get a media pass. After knocking some sense into myself, I became hyperfixated on the giant banner and the LegoCon lanyards that the staff were wearing, because like I said, all I wanted at this point was some cool merch. As we stepped inside, we were greeted by this tiny little statue of Emmett, and it suddenly became abundantly clear that I really definitely was not the target demographic for this event, as this hall was just entirely empty for the most part. There really was a ton of extra space for an event that they said had sold out of their free tickets worth, but it's free and there were some cool signs, so I did sort of raise my expectations a little bit. First up was to check when the speakers were on, and unfortunately the parking would have expired if we actually stuck around for them, so instead I headed straight over to this giant LegoCon sign in order to try and get a thumbnail and some cool Instagram photos. I mean, at this point that's really all I feel like I may get out of this event. However, we headed over to the left-hand side and there was a ton of cool glass display cases with some really neat looking vintage sets. They had a wooden rocking horse as well as this little fire truck, and in the next one over they had some more classic town sets as well as a tow truck, and really I was actually genuinely impressed by this stuff. It was really cool to see the boxes in person in really good condition as well as the models themselves. You continued over as well and they had some more sort of classic and really old versions of minifigures and Duplo bricks, and just seeing it all in person was super cool and definitely something I'm probably not going to do again anytime soon. But the coolest part for me was seeing some of the vintage castle and space sets. Seeing those old Black Falcon torsos and the castle instructions and box just made me even more excited for the new sets. But that's one thing that was missing, was the new sets. But I picked up this little magazine and I had a look at the map, which really didn't need to be a thing. It's just one big circle. But we headed over to the left hand side, starting off with the little Minecraft booth that they had set up, which there was a couple of tables and a ton of Minecraft bricks all lying around, as well as some of the current sets on display. The only one I really have is the little bee farm from here. The rest seemed like relatively up to date, but none of the brand new ones that did get revealed at LegoCon, and nothing that I recall seeing released really anytime soon besides the smallest set. And then there was just bins of random Minecraft minifigures and random Minecraft pieces. It just looks like they really took a pig house and sort of threw it all into a bucket here in order for kids to just build whatever. That was really the only thing that was going on at the Minecraft booth. There wasn't really anything too special or too exciting besides that, which was quite disappointing. Moving on up though was my favorite section, the one I was most looking forward to, which ironically was Lego Technic, and I stood in this queue to take a photo with a car. It actually moved relatively fast, but while I was there, I got my first glimpse of Brickman, the Lego Masters Australia judge. Got to watch some clips of the giant Formula 1 McLaren being built and just sort of showcasing that with the McLaren team, which was all taken at the Melbourne Grand Prix, which was super cool to see. My family has a history with McLaren and my dad loves Formula 1, so this was definitely a highlight for me, and I was really keen as well to actually have a look at the set in person. But definitely the coolest part was actually being able to get in the car and take a photo, which of course I used later for my Instagram. Continuing round in our clockwise direction, and there was this weird thing called Build for Change, which was shockingly busy. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because you get to put your models on display, which for the most part were really colorful, but my favorite was by far this little Angry Birds model. I'm not too sure what Build the Change meant. There wasn't really any signage or explanation, but there was a ton of random pieces, including Sebastian. But most importantly, my mum was impressed by this weird bicycle build that she found lying around that we presume a kid made. Besides that, this pile just looked like a bunch of miscellaneous random pieces from whatever they had left over, so we moved over to the friends area where there was a giant heart being made, and again, I guess I got to see Brickman semi up close, which was really strange but also really cool. Everyone was bringing up their hearts that they had built on these little tables as the Brickman team assembled the entire thing together, and my mum kept telling me to go and take a photo with Brickman, but instead, I decided to walk over to this Lego Friends statue and take a photo with that. Just like Minecraft, there was a ton of Lego Friends sets on display, and a lot of them did seem pretty recent, and it also seems like they were really catering for the AFOLs, as there was a ton of beanbags on the floor ready for you to take a nap on. After my 5-second power nap, I got up and decided I should probably participate and actually start building a heart. So I just grabbed a bunch of pink bricks, because what other color am I really gonna grab, and started assembling them and making this kind of basic looking heart, which I was actually pleasantly proud of. And luckily the Brickman team actually allowed me to put it on myself, purely because I make Lego videos on the internet. But seriously, thank you very much to the Brickman team. It was really cool to actually be able to place my heart on there, but that's definitely not something that the everyday public viewer would have been able to do. After that experience, my spirits were lifted, so I headed around and completely avoided the dots section and headed over to help build the giant red brick, because shockingly, building these little models was really fun and I found a lot of fulfillment in it. It was kind of the highlight to be able to just bring all of these pieces and watch more skilled giant model builders put it together. And that's also when I realized that the LegoCon stream was playing, and I quickly ran away and had a look at this really cool crossing the road sign and noticed that there was actually some storage boxes being used to decorate this place. It just goes to show how much you can really stretch the budget of a free event. Then the last theme being showcased is none other than Lego City, where there was a tiny train layout, and it really took me back to Brickworld Chicago. And just like Friends of Minecraft, had tables set up in order for kids to build whatever they wanted. And by whatever they wanted, it was mostly just like skate ramp theme park sort of things, using the little city stunts thing, which, speaking of city stunts, there was an amazingly large model, which then leads you to the tiny little Lego store that they had on display. Really, the only things that were on sale were the themes that were being showcased in the hall, which I guess is to be expected. The Minecraft section was absolutely tiny though compared to everything else, so I wonder if just the stock was stuff that hadn't been selling in the stores. And I was able to sit and talk to a lot of the staff members that I recognized from my visits in the stores, which was a lot of fun, before heading to this giant LegoCon sign to take even more photos and wrap up this entire event.
So I'm back from LegoCon, and honestly, it was a bit more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. I think my expectations were really on the floor, and they did surpass them. I mean, I did only spend an hour there and felt like I had literally done everything. It was a lot smaller than I'd thought, and I admittedly didn't stay for any of the panels. I kind of wanted to, but I also didn't want to pay for another hour of parking, so I decided to go home. For what it was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. However, at each of the themes, basically, it was the exact same, which I feel like is the letdown. I really feel like it would have been awesome to have like the 90th anniversary castle and the 90th anniversary classic space set on display in a cabinet. I mean, they've been sent out for like reviews already, so people have these sets in person. And I mean, if they were showcasing the Star Wars builds at Star Wars Celebration, I feel like having those 90th anniversary sets on display, as well as all the vintage sets, but also having the LegoCon stream where they announced them, would have been incredible. I also feel like, just in terms of, I guess, sales, having those sets on display and then being able to go and pre-order them at the little pop-up store would have been fantastic, and I feel like a very big money-making venture, especially with that 600 Australian dollar 90th anniversary castle. You were going to be making a lot of bank by showing that on display, and I feel like that really could have pushed things up. I mean, there was going to be no set reveals. Like, I feel like that was a bit ambitious to ask for, which is why I didn't even consider it, but definitely showcasing some of the newer sets that were revealed, I feel like would have made this event just a little bit more exciting. By far though, the highlight for me, firstly, was just being able to talk to all of the Lego store staff that I recognized and haven't seen in a while. Being able to speak to a bunch of other people as well was really cool, but mostly it was, I guess, just like all of the mega builds that you could join in on, like building all of like the Lego Friends heart and the giant red brick, and most importantly for me at least, was seeing the Technic Ferrari in real life. That thing was incredible, and being able to actually get inside it was really cool. But besides that, every other theme was a really big letdown. I'm also surprised that they didn't really offer anything for creator. I feel like that would have been really cool, and maybe have like a challenge where you have to build something and then build it into 2 other things. But also just the lack, I guess, of Lego Star Wars especially being one of the best-selling themes. I imagine that was probably a licensing thing, but I feel like having Lego Star Wars there would have really just, I guess, pushed it over the edge. You could have had so many cool sets on display. You could have had people like custom building like lightsabers, had something like that. It would have been awesome as well if there was just like something exclusive, like there were people walking around with like VIP lanyards, which turns out was just for staff. I would have loved to have had like one of those lanyards, just something cool. Like I want some LegoCon merchandise. Or, you know, like a cool poly bag, or like one of those like mini builds that they do for like promotions in store. I feel like something like that would have really, I guess, just like made it a bit more lively. But honestly, I actually had a pretty fun day out. I mean, it was a free event, so there's really not that much I can complain about. Literally, it was just like the cost of parking, which at least for me is a tax deduction because I'm making this video. So at least for me, it would be really cool to see this event return next year, maybe be like a tiny bit bigger, and maybe do showcase some more of like the upcoming sets that haven't been released yet. I just feel like just having sets that were like, I guess like a couple of months old, like there wasn't really anything even from like the summer or at least like our winter waves that was on display, which is actually kind of sad besides like a couple of Friends sets. I would have loved to see some more of that. I also think having a couple more people like talking on panels and things like that would have been really, really cool. And even incorporating some of the Australian lugs would have been amazing to see. There's a couple of them that are recognized by LEGO in the country. I would have loved to have seen them like bring in some mocks and things like that as well, but I guess that is just like me, I guess, trying to merge it with my idea of what I think of as a LEGO convention, which is things like Brickworld Chicago, Brickvention Melbourne, and Brick Fair Virginia. The whole event definitely was not for AFOLs, but I did have a pretty fun time, and I hope that you enjoyed the video that I made out of it. So if you did, please give this video a big thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel down below, and until next time guys, I'll see you later.